Hey there, welcome. I think today we are going to talk about Trident from 2001. Trident is basically Doctor Who's answer to Quentin Tarantino's Pulp Fiction. It is a 4-episode story featuring 3 classic Doctors, the 5th, 6th, and 7th, from a company or a group called El Cheapo Productions. And it basically takes the Doctor Who storytelling format up to the next level. Now, this came out in 2001, as I said, before the series was rebooted back in 2005. And so, like many similar fan films, it is copying the original format of the classic series. And that format was basically a serial, a series of short episodes, 20 minutes to 25 minutes, ending on a cliffhanger, strung together with multiple subplots as they're maturing at each point in time, and all of them building towards a climax. Now, that's a hell of a formula for storytelling. We've seen it reused again in the modern era in things like The Sopranos or Breaking Bad. But during this time, the period of the classic series, the 70s and 80s, pretty much Doctor Who was the only one that was doing that. It's a complicated, sprawling story that changes as you go along, so that what you understand in the first episode is completely different from what you've come to understand in the second episode, or the third, or the fourth. Now, let's talk about the El Cheapo group. Cheapo is a group of filmmakers, young filmmakers from England, Chris and Ben Pocock, Craig Hurley on the one side, and John Walker and James Copeland on the other, each of them with their respective groups of friends. And these were 2 groups of people who were trying to make a film, or trying to make films, and they were not getting very far with it. They were floundering. So the Pocock-Hurley group had some experience doing short films, and they'd recently acquired a computer editing system. On the other side was the Walker-Copeland group, which were working on a script. They were working separately on projects which would be the basis for the 3rd and 2nd episodes of Trident. And they'd been acquiring Cyberman heads and props and stuff, and not really getting anywhere. So eventually the 2 groups ended up meeting for drinks in a pub, discussing where they were going wrong, and they decided to combine their talents. And it was a productive merger between 2001 and 2011. El Cheapo produced 7 very ambitious and almost uniformly interesting Doctor Who fan films. Now, I'm telling this story not just as background for the people involved, but because I found it really interesting. I mean, when you watch Trident, it plays like a Swiss watch. There's all these moving parts, and they are continually paying off. But as it was, they just kind of like were pulling it out of their butts. This is an organic process. I think that's really ironic. Trident was, I think, in many ways, their most ambitious production. So the first 3 episodes of Trident feature cold openings, each of them catapulting a different Doctor into a mystery, and the last episode attempts to pull it all over. And one of the cool things about this is that although this is a 3 Doctor story, the Doctors never meet. They are never in the same room with each other at the same time, none of them. It's always just, moving back and forth and moving back and forth. And they're experiencing things out of order in terms of the main narratives, because of course they're time travelers. So it's quite a clever conceit, and that little defiance of expectations is actually one of the examples of just how clever the production was. Now, I'll just kind of run through it very quickly. The first episode features a mysterious character carrying a briefcase through London as the 5th Doctor is hunting for a time anomaly. And things go wrong, the anomaly detonates, and it throws the Doctor back 3 million years, where he finds a crashed spaceship and Cybermen. And then things get complicated. Episode 2 starts with Stan, the last surviving crew member of the Starliner Trident, invaded by Cybermen with the ship on a collision course with the Earth, and Stan has just accidentally deleted the navigation software when the 6th Doctor shows up. And of course things get complicated. And next we have episode 7, or episode 3, where the 7th Doctor has been trapped and is being tortured by mysterious enemies who want a TARDIS. Can Ace save him in time? There's a creepy guy, there's an explosion, Ace rescues the Doctor, but things are getting deep. And of course, in episode 4, we go back to the cliffhangers from each episode, and we pull it all together. Now, what's happening is that there is an extra-dimensional entity which has been let into our universe by, the time explosion, and is currently in the process of eating the universe, because it's, invited all of its buddies in to eat the universe. The Cybermen are from the future, and they've gone back in time to stop the end of the end. In fact, if you watch this, the Cybermen look really ratty. And as you're watching this in the first few episodes, you're thinking, wow, nice headpieces, but this really is just kind of crap costumes. There's a reason for this. Because these are the last Cybermen in the universe. They've gone back in time to try and stop it, and they have not been doing well. These are Cybermen with their back up against the wall. And that's such a nice little payoff. So, there you go. So, apart from a really complicated plot that moves back and forth in time and space, and so we're moving, from the modern day to a few months in the future to 3 million years back. We move from the English countryside of millions of years ago to a spaceship to all kinds of times and places. It really stands out for sharp, clever editing, crisp dialogue, and good storytelling. And the narrative is just brilliant. There are things that are going on in the first episode in the relationship between the Fifth Doctor and the Cybermen that don't entirely make sense, but that pay off when we've seen the last episode. And every episode is containing constant references, incidents, events, statements that may not mean much, but that get filled in later, and it's a very satisfying thing. I think the tough part of Trident is that they're kind of handicapped with their doctors. Look, you can't put somebody in a 20-foot scarf and call them Tom Baker. Each of the doctors, each of the classic doctors is played by an actor who brings a certain quality to it, a certain tenor, a certain bombast. And you can't just switch that out, put somebody else in the costume, and it'll carry off. And this really is Trident's big handicap. The other really good fan films end up creating their own doctors, like Barbara Benedetti in Wrath of Euchre, or Nick Scoville in The Millennium Trap, or Rupert Booth in Phase 4. But here what they're doing is they're trying to give us their own versions of classic doctors. So your mileage is going to vary. Sometimes you're going to sit there and go, no, not happening, not accepting this. This guy looks nothing like Colin Baker. Sorry. I would say give it a chance. Chris Pocock plays the Fifth Doctor, and he's okay. And the thing with the Fifth Doctor, Peter Davison, is that the guy was kind of blandly handsome. Like if you look at caricaturists or cartoonists, the thing with the Davison Doctor, as opposed to say Matt Smith or David Tennant or Tom Baker, who all have exaggerated features, is that there's nothing really about him that stands up. He's blandly handsome, he's soft-spoken, mild-mannered. There's nothing to really anchor anything on. So actually Pocock does fairly well with the role because, he's kind of got that sort of mild approach. John Walker plays the Sixth Doctor, and he probably has the physically toughest time. Walker is a balding, portly fellow, and he's stuck in an obnoxiously colorful costume. And he brings a lot of energy to the role. He's by far the most volatile Doctor. I think he catches the personality of the Doctors, of the three Doctors that we see the most. But, he's physically not the part. He's physically not Colin Baker. So he's just going for it. You're either going to take it and accept it, or you're not. I would say give it a shot. Why not? And oddly, the best performance comes from Craig Hurley, who plays the Seventh Doctor in a dual role. And the thing with Hurley is that he's absolutely nothing like Sylvester McCoy. He doesn't dress like him, he doesn't act like him, he doesn't talk like him. He doesn't even bother. Hurley is playing his own version of the Seventh Doctor. And that's not Sylvester McCoy, but it's somebody who is dour and somebody who is smart and in control. He abandons McCoy's white suit and distinctive hat for something dark and sober, and all that's really left of McCoy's outfit is the scarf and the vest. We never get the impression of Sylvester McCoy from Hurley's performance, but it is a working version of the Seventh Doctor, if that makes any sense. And he's creepy. I don't know what it is. That's kind of a thing with Seventh Doctors, with people who try and do Sylvester McCoy. It always comes across as creepy. I've never seen a fan film version of Sylvester McCoy's performance where I'd leave like live children with the actor. As for the rest of the principal cast, we have James Copeland, who has the writing credit for Trident, and he plays the character called Ravensworth, who appears in all of the episodes, and who is the creature or thing from beyond time inhabiting the body, also seen as a green glow. Alicia Dickinson provides an excellent ace, competent and energetic heroine, and I'm going to be flat out here. Dickinson is a portly girl, and she's sort of wide-bodied, and if that's a problem for you, well, too bad, because she does it really well. And I had no problem with her performance. It was fun. Stephen Stanbridge provides light comedy as the hapless Stan Marsh, a computer programmer or janitor or something, who accidentally deletes his ship's navigation system and sends it on a journey crashing into the Earth. And there's like a time limit there, so when we see Stan, it's got like half an hour to go. And through the 4 episodes, Earth is coming closer and closer, or they're getting closer and closer to Earth. Stan, by the way, is inspired by Stanley Tweedle from the Lex television series that was playing around that time, and fittingly, some of the music from Trident borrows from the musical score of Lex. So this is actually 2 fan films for the price of 1. You've got like a very obscure Lex fan film reference here. And apart from that, let's do some of the technical stuff. First up, many compliments to the costumes. We have 3 different Doctor outfits along with Ace's costume, unit operatives, a bunch of really good props, even a hapless starship crewman. And of course we have at least 3 Cybermen costumes and a Cyber Leader, and they are all very well done. The Cybermen look ratty, but there's an explanation for that, and as it turns out, it's deliberate, both dramatically and in visual editing terms. These people are good at making 3 Cybermen costumes look like an army. It's a nice touch. Good locations and cinematography. Trident is almost uniformly well shot, and it is visually interesting. The Starship Trident's interiors mostly were shot after hours at a London health club, and that pays off very nicely, so they get to use a lot of the club's facilities. The club has a lot of glass, a lot of chrome, a lot of sterile antiseptic quality to it, and that comes across very well for a starship interior. Not all of it. There are a few scenes that, we go through the corridors in the starship and we discover, oh, they're made of bricks and concrete. And there are some very, very nicely shot scenes, especially in the first episode where we see the mysterious figure walking. There is an amazing establishing shot where we see the TARDIS and some Cybermen on a catwalk, and it's shot from below and from a distance, so it's very nicely framed. There are even some interesting outdoor shots. There is a beach shot from the cliffs at Peacehaven, which was actually a location that was used by the classic series in Trial of a Time Lord. And, there's even some stuff that's a homage to Sam Raimi. Most of the scenes, indoors and outdoors, are visually striking and well composed. Now, as I've said, some of it is a little bit tosh. There's some shots that are looking very much, come on, brickwork in a starship. There's a few scenes that take place in what amounts to an empty room with stuff in it. This is the upstairs of a video store. Anyway, not all of it is perfect. There's prop guns that kind of look like they're made out of styrofoam. The unit's storage room and the console can be pretty slack. The biggest problem, as with many fan films, is the sound mix is sometimes wobbly. What's happening is that they are talking or trying to have conversations in an empty room with with room echo, or you have characters walking around outdoors and you have wind or ambient sound that gets into things. And again, you know, this is one of those things that you are going to have to look at. But, I mean, for my money, Trident is probably one of the most interesting fan films of its era. And in fact, apart from the fact that we have to struggle with the fact that we are seeing doctors who are not played by the actors we recognize as those things. That's the thing we've got to overcome. But if you go past that, this is really a brilliant piece of work, and I strongly recommend it. You can actually still find Trident on YouTube if you go looking for it. And it's the sort of thing that I think would justify watching a second or third time. It's that good. And you can also find me writing about it, and writing about films like this, and writing about some of El Cheapo's other productions in my book, The Last Pirate's History of Doctor Who. So, check it out. And the book, of course, can be found on online as an ebook or print book on pretty much any of the platforms. Anyway, thank you very much.